As parents, it is natural to strive for a deep understanding of our children's unique needs, behaviors, and challenges. In today's diverse world, neurodevelopmental conditions have gained significant attention, highlighting the importance of recognizing and understanding them. Borderline personality disorder and autism spectrum disorder are two distinct conditions that can sometimes present with overlapping characteristics, causing confusion and misunderstanding. To navigate these complexities effectively, it is crucial to gain clarity on the key differences between BPD and ASD. In this video, we will explore the contrasting aspects of borderline personality disorder and autism spectrum disorder, helping parents discern between the two conditions and provide a solid foundation for understanding and nurturing their children's unique strengths and challenges. Neurodevelopmental conditions encompass a group of disorders that affect the development and functioning of the brain and nervous system. These conditions typically emerge early in childhood and can have a profound impact on various aspects of an individual's life, including social interactions, interpersonal relationships, communication, behavior, and cognitive abilities. The underlying causes of neurodevelopmental conditions are diverse, ranging from genetic and environmental factors to a combination of both. Let's take a look at some examples of neurodevelopmental conditions. Examples of neurodevelopmental conditions include autism spectrum disorder, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, intellectual disability, specific learning disorder, and Tourette syndrome, as well as some long-term mental health conditions, such as depression and borderline personality disorder. Each of these conditions exhibits unique characteristics, but they all share the common feature of affecting the development and functioning of the brain. Autism spectrum disorder, for instance, is characterized by challenges in social interaction and communication, as well as restricted and repetitive patterns of behavior. Individuals with ASD may have difficulties with nonverbal communication and social cues, such as eye contact and facial expressions. They may struggle with understanding social norms, and display repetitive movements or intense interests in specific topics. These autistic traits can lead to emotional dysregulation and sensory overload. Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, on the other hand, is characterized by difficulties with attention, hyperactivity, and impulsivity. Children with ADHD may struggle to sustain focus, have trouble staying still or sitting quietly, and act impulsively without considering consequences. Intellectual disability refers to significantly below average intellectual functioning, often accompanied by limitations in adaptive behaviors. Individuals with intellectual disability may have challenges with learning, problem solving, and independent living skills. Specific learning disorder involves difficulties in acquiring and using specific academic skills, such as reading, writing, or mathematics, despite adequate intelligence and educational opportunities. Tourette syndrome is characterized by the presence of motor and vocal tics, which are involuntary, repetitive movements or vocalizations. Individuals with Tourette syndrome may also experience associated conditions like attention difficulties or obsessive-compulsive behaviors. Autism spectrum disorder is a neurodevelopmental condition characterized by a wide range of challenges in social interaction, communication, and repetitive or restricted patterns of behavior. It affects individuals across various levels of intellectual functioning, hence the term spectrum. Autism is estimated to affect 2.2% of the general population in the USA. Social interaction difficulties are a hallmark of ASD. Individuals with ASD may struggle with understanding and responding to social cues, such as maintaining eye contact, interpreting facial expressions, and engaging in reciprocal conversations. They may find it challenging to initiate and sustain friendships and social relationships, or have difficulty understanding social norms and expectations. Communication difficulties can manifest in several ways. Some individuals with ASD may have delayed language development or difficulties with speech articulation. Others may exhibit a unique pattern of speech, characterized by repeating words or phrases, or a flat tone of voice. Nonverbal communication, such as gestures, facial expressions, and body language, may also be affected. Repetitive and restricted patterns of behavior are common in autistic individuals. They may engage in repetitive movements like hand flapping or rocking, have intense fixations or interests in specific topics, and exhibit resistance to change or insistence on sameness in routines. Sensory overload, such as being overwhelmed by certain sounds, textures, or lights, are also frequently observed. An autism diagnosis involves a comprehensive evaluation by a team of professionals, including mental health professionals, pediatricians, and speech and language therapists. The diagnosis is typically made based on the presence of persistent difficulties in social communication and interaction, coupled with restricted and repetitive behaviors. The diagnostic process includes detailed interviews with parents or caregivers, direct observation of the individual's behaviors, and standardized assessments. Diagnostic criteria for autism have evolved over time, with the current approach emphasizing a spectrum-based model. This recognizes that individuals with autism can have varying levels of support needs and intellectual abilities. The severity of autism is now described in terms of the level of support required across different domains, such as social communication, restricted and repetitive behaviors, and sensory sensitivities. Early intervention is crucial for individuals with autism. Interventions may include speech and language therapy, social skills training, occupational therapy, and behavioral interventions aimed at improving communication, social interaction, and adaptive skills. Individualized education plans and specialized educational settings may also be recommended to support academic and developmental progress. Understanding the unique traits and behaviors associated with autism can help parents and caregivers provide appropriate support and create an inclusive and nurturing environment for their children. It is important to remember that each individual with autism is unique, with their own strengths, challenges, and potential for growth and development. Borderline personality disorder is a complex mental health condition that primarily affects a person's emotions, self-image, sense of self, and interpersonal relationships. It is characterized by a pattern of instability in mood, self-perception, behavior, and interpersonal functioning. While it can be a challenging condition, with proper understanding and support, individuals with borderline personality disorder can lead fulfilling lives. One of the primary features of BPD is intense and unstable emotions. Individuals with BPD may experience extreme and sudden changes in emotion, often triggered by seemingly minor events. They may struggle with intense anger, sadness, or anxiety, and find it challenging to regulate their emotions effectively. These emotional fluctuations can result in impulsive behaviors, self-harming behavior, or suicidal thoughts. Another characteristic of BPD is an unstable self-image. Individuals with BPD may have an unclear sense of who they are, frequently changing their goals, values, or interests. They may struggle with chronic feelings of emptiness and have difficulty establishing a stable and consistent sense of identity, which can lead to further mental health problems. Interpersonal relationships can be turbulent for individuals with BPD. They may have a fear of abandonment, leading to frantic efforts to avoid real or perceived rejection. This fear can contribute to unstable and intense relationships, characterized by idealization and devaluation. Individuals with BPD may alternate between viewing others as all good or all bad, causing strain in their relationships. Impulsive and self-destructive behaviors are common in individuals with BPD. They may engage in impulsive actions like substance abuse, reckless driving, and excessive spending. Self-harming behaviors, such as cutting or burning, may also be present as a way to cope with emotional pain or to feel a sense of control. A diagnosis of borderline personality disorder involves a thorough evaluation by a mental health professional, typically a psychiatrist or psychologist. The diagnosis is based on a comprehensive assessment of the individual's symptoms, emotions, and behaviors, using established criteria outlined in the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, also known as the DSM-5. Treatment for borderline personality disorder often involves a combination of psychotherapy, medication, and support. Dialectical behavior therapy is a commonly used therapy that helps individuals with borderline personality disorder traits to develop skills for emotional regulation, distress tolerance, interpersonal effectiveness, and mindfulness. Other forms of therapy, such as cognitive behavioral therapy and psychodynamic therapy, may also be beneficial. While autism spectrum disorder and borderline personality disorder are distinct conditions with unique diagnostic criteria, there are some overlapping features that can create challenges in differentiation. It is important to note that these similarities should not overshadow the fundamental differences between the two disorders. Here, we explore some commonalities that may exist between autism spectrum disorder and borderline personality disorder. Social interaction challenges. Both ASD and BPD can involve difficulties in social interactions. Individuals with ASD often struggle with understanding social cues, maintaining eye contact, and engaging in social interactions. Similarly, individuals with BPD may experience challenges in establishing and maintaining stable relationships, which can be influenced by a fear of abandonment, mood instability, and difficulties in emotion regulation. Emotional dysregulation. Both ASD and BPD can involve difficulties in regulating emotions. Individuals with ASD may experience intense emotional responses to certain stimuli, leading to emotional meltdowns or shutdowns. Individuals with BPD also often experience emotional instability, marked by intense mood swings, anger, anxiety, and impulsivity. Eating disorders and substance abuse. Both autism spectrum disorder and borderline personality disorder have a notable prevalence of eating disorders and substance abuse, which can serve as a means of self-soothing or gaining a sense of control. Research indicates that a significant percentage of individuals with BPD also meet the criteria for an eating disorder. One study found that 53.8% of individuals with BPD had an eating disorder. Research also suggests that around 23% of individuals diagnosed with anorexia nervosa are autistic. Contrary to previous assumptions that substance abuse was low among individuals on the autism spectrum due to their adherence to rules, emerging research reveals a hidden side of addiction within the autistic community. A recent study conducted in Sweden discovered that autistic individuals with average to high intelligence were twice as likely to struggle with addiction to alcohol and other drugs. While autism spectrum disorder and borderline personality disorder share some overlapping traits and challenges, the underlying reason behind these challenges vary in each condition. Understanding these differences is essential for accurate diagnosis and tailored interventions. Here are some key distinctions between ASD and BPD. Traits and presentation. ASD. The traits seen in autistic people revolve around difficulties in social communication and interaction, restricted and repetitive behaviors, and sensory sensitivities. BPD is primarily characterized by emotional dysregulation, identity disturbances, difficulties in interpersonal relationships, and impulsivity. Sensory sensitivities. ASD. Sensory sensitivities are a common feature of ASD, with individuals experiencing heightened or diminished responses to sensory stimuli such as sounds, textures, or lights. Sensory sensitivities are not considered a defining feature of BPD. However, individuals with BPD may have heightened emotional reactivity to external stimuli. Social relationships and interactions. Individuals with ASD often struggle with understanding social cues, engaging in reciprocal conversations, and establishing and maintaining friendships. Individuals with BPD may exhibit intense and unstable relationships, marked by fear of abandonment, idealization and devaluation, and difficulties in maintaining stable, healthy connections.